Okay, before we start this package, just a recap of your exponents. I want you to add something here. I want you to put a times dot y to the 8th. Okay, now, so I put in my operators. If I have to simplify anything, we want to see our operators. Okay, so it's a 3, a 5, a times, a 7, and an 8. As long as there are no addition or subtraction operators in the original expression, we can use this technique. Okay. So make 3 lines. So then we underline the problem so everything's on top. So my factors are y, and y. So I write y down, and I'm actually going to make 2 plus signs now because there's 3 of them. Okay. So in front of the plus sign, start on the left. That's a 3, but it's in parentheses, so 3 times 5 is 15. Okay. Then my next y is a 7, not in parentheses, so I put a 7, and then we got an 8. So 15 plus 7 plus 8, that's going to be 29. Okay. So, does that stay or does it switch position? Oh, it stays, okay, because it's positive. So it stays in the same position. And then I can't really simplify it, so it's just y to the power of 29. Okay, next problem. So there are no addition, there's no plus or minus signs in the problem. Those are negatives, okay? So if there's no plus or minus signs, this is how we're going to handle it on all these in this class, okay? Okay, put in the operators on top, so you got just the m and its exponent, okay? So I've got an m, power's -4. The only base you have is m, only factor you have is m, factor base, whatever you want to call it, its power's a -4. You don't have to multiply it. Now I go on the bottom, put in the operators, times is there. Now we have m and m, so that means I'm going to be adding, okay, because there's 2 of them, and I take 3 plus -2. Okay, 3 plus -2 is 1, okay, so cross that out and put a 1. Okay, so that's a 1 I just put. Now, when you have stuff on bottom, so we didn't have anything on bottom there, but if I have stuff on the bottom, I see if I can cancel. Well, I got m on top and bottom. One of those m's gets canceled. It's the one with the smaller exponent, which would be the -4. Now remember, you don't minus 4. You need to minus -4. Okay? 1 minus -4. So plus plus. If you're minusing a negative, I would maybe write that off this side. That's 5. Okay? So that ends up as m to the 5th. So I don't have anything on top. Bottom, does that stay in position or does it switch? It stays. Okay, so we keep it on bottom. Can't simplify it, but what do we need to put over the top? We need to put a 1. Okay, 1 over m to the 5th. Stick to the game plan. Okay, I'm scanning the problem. I don't see any addition or subtraction signs. That doesn't mean I don't add or subtract anything. I just don't see any signs within the expression. Okay. So, 3 lines, then underline the expression if there's not a line there. Okay, if there already is a line, you already have it, but put a line. So put in the operators, circle the exponents, okay? So a times x, a power of 3, a power of 2, a times 4, a times x, power of 3. Okay, line up your bases, no repeats. If there are, use a plus sign. So you got a -5. Now, if you have a negative base, you want to put it in parentheses. Just that, though. Okay. Times x, times 4, times x. Well, I've already written an x down, so I put it. Remember, that's what I mean by no repeats. And bottom's empty for now. Okay. So, get exponents now. Figure out the exponents. So you got a 1. It's in parentheses, so 1 times 2 is 2. Then I go to my x. There's 2 of them because we wrote a plus sign. So 3 times 2 is 6. And the other x is just a 3. It's outside 3, meaning it's not in parentheses, so 3. So 6 plus 3 is 9. Okay. Okay, 4. Now 4 is to the 1, and it's not in parentheses, so it's an outside 1, meaning it just comes down. Okay, now which one switch? Now this one's can throw some people off, because you see, that's a stay. Because, yeah, the base is negative, but the exponent ain't. Okay, so -5 to the second. Okay, that's stay, because it's +9. It's all about the little exponent. And that's stay, because it's +1. So the middle lines for the switch are stay. Okay, now last one's to simplify what I can. -5 to the second can be simplified. It'd be -5 times -5, and that's 25. If you're just going to use a caret key, make sure you're putting the parentheses around the negative. Okay, so 25. And then I can simplify the 4 to the first, so that'd just be 4. Then put your variable at the end. Okay, 25 times 4 is 100. Okay. Times x to the 9th. Okay, nothing on bottom. So the bottom's empty. Bottom can be empty. It's the top that we would need to apply a 1. Okay, next problem. Looks intimidating, but you got to follow the game plan. So there's no plus or minus operators, so I extend that line and set up 3 lines of my own. Okay. Okay, put the operators, circle the exponents. So you got times 2 times a times b, and that's an exponent. Okay. So I got 6 times a times b times 2. Now times a, but I've already written a down, so I put a little plus sign. And then b, I've already written that down, I put a little plus sign. Okay, so 6. 6 is to the 1, not in a parentheses, it's an outside 1, so 1. Then there's got to be 2 a's. I wouldn't have wrote that plus sign if there were not. Okay, so a to the 4th. And then my other a, I put a 1, but that's in a parentheses, so 1 times 3 is 3. So 4 plus 3 is 7. Now to b. B is to the 5th. I put a 1 on that other b. 1 times 3 is 3. So 5 plus 3 is 8. Okay, then 2. 2 to the 1. It's in a parentheses, so you got to take the 1 times the 3. That's 3. Okay, so now I got my power set, but there's crap on bottom, so I have to repeat the process. So a times b times a times b. Okay, so I got a times b. Another a means I just add to the exponent in the first one. Then times another b means I just add to the exponent there. Okay, so a, there's got to be 2 of them. So you got a 1. Okay, that's an outside 1. There's no parentheses, so that's 1. And then 2, that looks to be in a parentheses, so I take this 2 times the 3. That's 6. So 1 plus 6 is 7. Okay, b. There's got to be 2 of them, 1 outside 1, and an inside 2. So you don't write 2 if it's inside of a parentheses. 2 times 3 is 6. So 1 plus 6 is 7. Okay. Now, always look to cancel if you have a bottom. We have an a on bottom and on top. Well, they're both to the 7th, so if they're equal powers, they're both deleted. Okay. B7, B8 on top, so we delete the b to the 7th, and we minus 7 from 8, and that makes 1. Okay. So, look at everything on top. That's a stay. And then that was deleted. B to the, it ended up with b. B ended up with a positive 1. That's a stay. Then 2 to the 3rd is a stay because the little power is positive. Okay, now we're free. What can you simplify? That, not that, and that. So 6 to the 1st is just 6. 2 to the 3rd is not 6. You take 2 times 2 times 2. That's 8. Okay. then the variable, b to the first. Now you can times till you run into the letter. 6 times 8 is 48. Then we run into the letter. So 48 times b to the first, or just 48 times b if it's to the first. Okay, that one was kind of hard, but not really hard, just time consuming. I want you to do me a favor, make that a positive 2, just because I want to. I don't want to over confuse people. Okay, so we have a 3 and a negative 2x to the negative 5th power, so no plus, no minus. Never said plus, never said minus, so this is the strategy. Okay. All right, top. Well, I have a 3. Okay, that's all you got. Base 3. Bottom. Okay. Or actually, it's 3 to the first. Put a power there, and it's just a first. Okay. Now go to the bottom. So put in your operators on bottom. Okay, so we got 2 times x. So 2's to the 1, but it's in a parentheses, so 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. X to 1, 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. Now, what switches, what stays? That's a stay, so bring it over. That's a switch. Well, it's on bottom now, so it would go to the top so that that exponent 5 is now positive. You don't want negative exponents. That's a switch. And it becomes 5. Now, out of all that, what can be simplified? 3 to the first, 2 to the 5th. So 3 to the first is 3, and 2 to the 5th would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. It's 32. Then the variable comes last. Now I times till I run into my variable. So 3 times 32 is 96. Times x to the 5th. Nothing on bottom. Okay, next one's a quick one. We have 3x to the negative 3rd, y to the 14th. I never said plus or minus, so that means this is the strategy. Alright, so underline it. If you don't see the line, you make the line under. That means everything's on top. So put in your top operators times the exponent times the exponent. So my bases are 3x and y, no repeats. Okay, so 3. 3 is to the first. That ain't in a parentheses though, so it will just stay to the first. X to the negative 3rd stays there. Y to the 14th stays there. Alright, now with that being said, what switches, what stays? That's a stay. That's a negative power, that needs to switch. It's on top, it switches over to the bottom, so it becomes a 3. That stays, so y to the 14th. Okay, now we're free. What gets simplified? 3 to the first is 3. Times y to the 14th. We can't multiply because you run smack into the variable. And x to the 3rd. Okay, next problem. Parentheses 3, x to the 3rd, y to the negative 3rd, parentheses, and then the negative 4th. Okay, there's no plus, there's no minus. So, okay, there we have it. So underline it. Remember, if the line ain't there, you make it yourself. Okay, so operators times, and the power, times, then the power, then the power. So the bases are 3x and y. Okay, no repeats, nothing on bottom, so I go from there. So 1, okay? Got to multiply. 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. And x has a inside third power, so I got to multiply it to the outer. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Okay. Negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12. So what stays? Nothing on bottom. Okay. So what stays? What switches? That's a switch. So it goes to the bottom where it becomes 4. That's a switch. goes to the bottom, becomes 12. That's a stay. You want that power positive, and it's already there, it stays. Okay, y to the 12 can't be simplified, so the top's simplified already. Bottom, we can do 3 to the 4th. That gives me 81. So 81 times x to the 12th. Okay, last problem. Be careful here. So, on top I got a 5x to the negative 3rd power, quantity 5x to the negative 3rd power, y to the 7th power. Then on bottom I got x to the negative 7th power, y to the negative 4th. Never said plus, never said minus, so we go here. Okay. What if you do say plus or minus? Then you have to follow a completely different strategy. Okay, we're not doing that here yet. Okay, so top. 5 times x, y to the negative 3rd, y to the 7th. So my factor on top, 5 times x times y. Okay, so 5 to the 1, so 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. Then x, I would put a 1 there, but it's inside, so 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. And y to the 7th, that's outside, so I put now my 7. Now you got stuff on bottom, okay? A lot of these problems at bottom's empty, not here. So we have x to the negative 7th times y to the negative 4th, okay? So it's x times y. X to the negative 7th, it's an outer, the parentheses is only around that part, so it's not, is not surrounding the x to the negative 7th, so it's just negative 7. And y, negative 4. Okay, now cancel. If you got stuff on bottom, you got to look to cancel. So we have x on bottom. Do we have 1 on top? Yep. Which one's goes? The smaller one. Negative 7 is smaller than negative 3. So then I minus, not 7, I minus negative 7. So I'm going to bring that over here. That's a plus 7, and that's 4. Okay. So x ends up with a positive 4. Now y, do the same thing. y. 7 and negative 4, which one goes? Got to be the negative 4. Okay, so 7 minus negative 4. That's plus, that's 11. Okay, now we're set to go to this line. Okay, what stays, what goes? That is a switch. Okay, not our switch is stays, so it goes to the bottom where it becomes 3. That's a stay. Stays on top. That is a stay. Okay. Okay, can't simplify that, so they just come over. Bottom, you can simplify the 5 to the 3rd. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125.